Hello and welcome back to Fantasy Entertainment. Today I'm doing a re-3 of Game of Thrones Season 7, Episode 6, Beyond the Wall. I have mixed feelings about some things in this episode, so let's get into it. First of all, lack of King's Landing shenanigans. Also, I thought it was really interesting, the very first shot is the camera panning over the Vale of Arryn on the map and focusing in on the fire. This could be a coincidence, but perhaps next episode we'll get something about what's going in the minds of people like Royce. Or perhaps Littlefinger will get his comeuppance. I really thought the fire was going to be a motif, but they only focused in on a fire twice in this episode, right here and later when they baited the Whites. Though perhaps this was all foreshadowing for a dragon action. Iceland is beautiful. I mean, the amount of cut to far away, cut to close-up conversation might have gone on for a little too long, but when you're in a place as beautiful as this, you have to take advantage of your very real surroundings. The conversations were nice, I guess. Some of them seemed a little fluffy just to try and fill in time. There were really only two important ones. Jon and Jorah talking about Longclaw, and the Hound and Tormund doing what they would consider bonding just so that the Hound could save Tormund later in the episode. I realized they had to have the Longclaw conversation, but it felt just a little awkward to stop walking and just talk. Also, what was Jon planning on doing? A sword swap? If he gives Jorah Longclaw, he wouldn't have a sword. Never mind how he wouldn't have a Valyrian steel sword. The Winterfell courtyard scene was so sweet until Arya ruined it. I can't tell if this is the writers forcing drama or if she's trying to play some elaborate game. Alright, I'll just get all the Winterfell stuff out of the way here. I don't like this at all. I love both of them, but seriously, they just need to stop and talk about what they're really thinking. I really thought the whole, "you're scared, what are you scared of?" would be Arya finally wearing Sansa down to revealing that she's afraid of Littlefinger. But no. Arya's memory of the execution is a little messed up. And she doesn't get that showing the letter to the Northern Lords would throw the North into turmoil that they really don't need right now. Sansa sends Brienne away in her place to go to King's Landing. She feels like she needs to stay in the North. With Brienne gone, Bran is the only real mediator left between the two girls. And where has he been? Just binge-watching the history of Westeros? Sansa is looking for what I'm guessing is the letter in Arya's room when she finds her bag of faces. This is probably the most interesting scene in the Winterfell plot. Arya suggests they play the game of faces, which is when you have to make lies sound like the truth. And since Sansa's the one asking questions and Arya's the one speaking, Arya's the one who has to make lies sound like the truth. So, I'm just guessing not everything she says in her little speech is entirely true, and Sansa isn't trained like this, so she can't catch the nuances of the lies. The one thing that really stood out to me was when she said she wanted to be a knight. That was Bran. I thought Arya was more like, I want to be like Nymeria, a free, wandering warrior princess. But maybe I'm just misremembering. It just seemed really weird to hear her say, I wanted to be a knight. Because that was Bran's thing. I really thought she was trying to scare Sansa into telling her something, but I can't tell if it worked. And she ends up giving Sansa the dagger. For protection? Against her? Against someone else? They play the House of Black and White theme as Arya leaves, so I'm guessing there is something bigger going on. Oh, I was so proud of them! Only one R+L=J reference! Though it really did bug me, so excuse me as I turn into the person who says, in the books. So, you don't look like your father, you must favor your mother, says Beric, meaning Ned. So the annoying thing is, in the books, Jon looks like Ned. Jon and Arya are the only ones who look like Starks, and Arya is said to look like Lyanna, transitive property. Jon looks like Lyanna. That was one of the big pieces of evidence for R+L=J before we got 610 last year. But yeah, he doesn't look like his biological father because Targaryen genes are always recessive. I like how they're planning even now what the ending of the show could be like while talking about Dany's succession. Tyrion brings up the Night's Watch and the Iron Islands, who use very loose democracy to elect their leaders. Perhaps that's what they'll get around to eventually. Maybe the remaining lords will choose from Jon, Dany, Sansa, Gendry, even Jaime, whoever's left at the end of all this. But I really did like this scene between the two of them. Tyrion is being extremely honest as usual and trying to keep her in check. I really hope this isn't foreshadowing and she does something really stupid next episode, though I doubt it, because she's in a very different place at the end of this episode. Of all the things that happened, I was not expecting zombie polar bear. Red shirts are torn up as well as Thoros. It's revealed that the Hound still isn't completely comfortable around fire. Despite all the growth that we've seen from him over the past couple seasons, it was almost like watching Blackwater all over again. He just froze. Poor guy. I also like the little ambush they did with the Whites and the White Walker. Jon kills the Walker, and conveniently all of the Whites fall down, unanimated, except for the one that they've captured and decided to take with them. They have this really interesting theory that when you kill a Walker, all the Whites they animated just die. That would be a good theory except for the one White left standing. When they go on these little missions, do they always bring a non-family member, just in case? It just seemed a little too convenient. However, it was a pretty cool little battle, and I love that water on wine glass sound that they make when the Valyrian steel just sings and kills a Walker. So the little captive makes a screeching noise, and Jon assumes that that means the army of the dead is coming to them, so he sends Gendry back to Eastwatch to get help. The rest head towards a frozen lake and hang out on a big rock in the center while waiting for help. Overnight, Thoros dies of his wounds, making him the only casualty, minus the red shirts, of the group that originally left the wall. And then the Hound decides it's a good idea to chuck rocks at the Whites, and eventually gets one angry enough to start slowly marching toward them, and then the rest follow. These are more Whites than we've ever seen, and they are clearly overwhelming our heroes. It looks like Tormund's gonna be dragged under the lake, but Sandor saves him, which was just a cop-out. Kill some people already, come on! Which, once that happened, I figured out that no one else was gonna die this episode. We're ready to start getting rid of minor characters. There's literally one episode left this season. So Jon is standing kind of alone and watching all that's happening around him. Just like in Battle of the Bastards, the sound drowns out and it gets a little slow-mo, and he makes eye contact with people, and it just seems like a big, impossible fight, and all seems lost. And then Dany rides in with her 3 dragons, and the fire just lays waste to the army of the dead. It seems like it's going well, and everyone's gonna make it out alive, until the Night King, who's been watching from the distance, takes out a special javelin, and with more of an arm than you might expect from him, manages to take down Viserion. Poor baby falls under the lake. And Rhaegal's like, peace, I'm out. Right after Drogon takes off, minus Jon gets kind of tackled backwards into the lake as well. But once all the Whites decide to leave, Jon magically pulls a Jaime and gets himself out of the water in his sopping wet furs. The Whites sense an alive person and turn back and see Jon. It seems like it's the end of him until Benjen shows up. Jon asks, how? And Benjen's like, there's no time. It's like the writers are saying, haha, we're not going to explain this, you're just going to have to live with it. So Benjen's story is over and he's now officially dead. Whew, 7 seasons later and we finally get some closure. Remember when what happened to Benjen was the biggest mystery on Game of Thrones right after who's Jon Snow's mother? So Jon makes it back to the wall on Benjen's horse, and they all get on a ship, probably going down to King's Landing, except for Tormund and Beric, who are going to stay at the wall. So as they get his clothes off him, Dany notices the never-gonna-heal stab wounds on his chest. Oh, so the knife to the heart thing was literal. Once he wakes up, they have a little talk. He tries to apologize, but she doesn't want to hear it. She isn't sorry they went, because now she actually saw the army of the dead, and she is totally going to be on Jon's side for this fight, because, well, the Night King just killed one of her children, essentially. And despite this, he symbolically bends the knee. Oh well, it was going to happen eventually. And the Night King resurrects Viserion. Yep, I think we all saw that coming. This is going to be interesting. So next episode, nearly everyone we know and love is going to be down in King's Landing for the grand reveal of the zombie. It will hopefully be the kind of finale that wraps up all the drama of the previous season. Perhaps the wall will come down. Maybe Cersei has some kind of red wedding thing planned. Clegane Bowl is definitely possible. All I hope is all this time-jumping, weird character acting, plot conveniencing will finally end, and next season will be one big battle against the army of the dead. So what'd you think of the episode? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, see you next time, and remember, embrace your creative side.